Wonderful. Hello everyone and welcome back to Nathrandir's Guide to Everything. Today we're going to be doing another character creation build, a beginner's guide, a how-to with a bit of a twist because we're going to be using some technically homebrew, but it's actually from the Critical Role universe. We're going to be making a gunslinger fighter. I've never played this class. I've done a little bit of research just so I know what's effective. Let me show you. Let's jump into D&D Beyond. Okay everyone, so welcome back, and as you can see, the new D&D video game, Darker Light, has just came out. I've been playing it a little bit. It's quite fun, and it's given me an idea for a Legend Forward video. I think we're either going to do all 4 of the characters from that, or just Drist. I haven't decided yet. But it's kind of made me want to play a fighter, rogue, whatever combo he is, basically. He's my favourite character by far. And as you can see, it looks like D&D Beyond are taking something out of my book and doing some beginner how-to guides. They've got this Teach Me How to Druid here. Regardless, let's get into this character builder. We're making a fighter today. So let's go to my characters, or your characters in your case. As you can see, we're now up to, we've got a few out of the way now. A couple on my main account, but we've got a Blood Hunter here, the Druid and the Warlock, and now we're going to do a fighter. So let's see what we've got. So first off, out the gate, we're going to randomize the name till we get something good. These are all really weird. Reggie. Yes, I'm going to change the spelling slightly just so it actually sounds like Reggie, not Reggie. But we're going to go with that. So Reggie it is. Okay, so moving on to race. This was a difficult one. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to go for. I didn't want to go for something just normal, like a human with, we can get the sharpshooter feat out the gate to get some extra range attacks and things like that. I didn't want to go with that. I wanted to go with a bit more flavour. I have this idea of like a bounty hunter type character in my head, and a combo that I've always wanted to kind of try, which I've never really committed to, is to actually be a flying character at the gate, which would be an Aarakocra. So we're going to go for that today. A flying bounty hunter, almost like one of the Fets or the Mandalorian kind of vibe is what I want to go for here. A bounty hunter, a criminal by trade, that kind of flies around the battlefield, staying stealthy until they absolutely have to go in and blow some stuff up, basically. So we're going to go with Aarakocra. We get flight speed of 50 feet, incredible. We can't be wearing medium or heavy armor, which does downgrade our AC a bit, and we get talons, which I can't imagine we're going to use very often because they use strength as well, and we're going to be dexterity focused. But also another reason for Aarakocra, by the way, +2 dex, +1 wisdom, which are the 2 abilities used by the gunslinger fighter. So I'm excited about that. The right bonuses out the gate. Let's go to class. Let's go to fighter. And actually today, for this first section, we're going to start off at level 3, where we actually get to pick our archetype. I think before this, perhaps we'd just be an archer or use a crossbow, or just not be very good with the pistols, those kind of things. But we're actually going to start off this character build today, this beginner's character build, at level 3, just because it gives a bit more flavour to the character, and I can bring you through really what the fighter is about as well. So hit points for a fighter is 1d10, so you're fairly healthy. Proficiencies, we have saving throws in strength and constitution, and we get to choose 2 skills. We're also proficient with martial weapons, all armor, shields, so we've got a lot of options gear wise as well. So skills wise, bear in mind I know that we're going to be taking a dexterity focused build as well as wisdom on the side. I think we absolutely have to take advantage of both of those things. So out the gate, we're going to go for insight and perception, because our wisdom is going to be our second highest statistic. So they're going to be both heavily used and really, really useful as well. For our fighting style option, we're going to go with archery, because archery you get a +2 bonus to attack rolls made with ranged weapons. We're not going to be using a longbow or crossbow very much, I wouldn't imagine. We are going to be using mechanical pistols, blunderbusses, muskets, things like that, which is going to be really exciting, but the +2 carries over because they are technically just a ranged weapon. Also at first level, as a fighter, we get second wind. We have a well of stamina, and essentially as a bonus action we can regain some hit points, and as it says, it gives you a second wind in a fight, which is great, not relying on everybody else for healing you on the front line. Although actually we're at range because we're a gunslinger, so we shouldn't be there, but anyway. We also get a second level, we get action surge, which means we can take an additional action on a turn, which again, for using guns and things like that, where they take a whole action to reload sometimes, or an attack, this is going to be incredibly useful as well. I mean, Why would you not want an extra action? Any character this would be good, I guess, but on a fighter it's particularly lethal, just because of how many attacks they can make. And to properly give this character some flavour, like I said, we're starting at level 3, and you do have a melee option, which would be the champion, and at 3rd level you get a critical hit on a 19 or 20, which is also very powerful, doubles your chances of a crit. But we're going with, like I said, a ranged gunslinger today. And you might want to talk to your dungeon master if you're thinking about doing this, just to make sure they're okay with you being a gunslinger, because not the technologies across all the different realms of Dungeons and Dragons or a homebrew may not be the same, so guns might not actually exist in your world, so just bear that in mind. Or they might be frowned upon, I guess. But we get firearm proficiency, which you can add as a proficiency in D&D Beyond through the homebrew, but that essentially means that we're good with guns. At 3rd level we get the gunsmith feature, like I said, and it gives us proficiency with tinker tools, which means we can create ammo and fix our weapons and things like that, and that is dexterity based, so keep that in mind as well. All guns have a reload property, a misfire, some have an explosive, and obviously all of them use ammunition. So the reload property is how many shots you can make before you have to use an action to reload, or an attack in this case. So for example, if we take the bread and butter pistol, which costs 150 gold pieces, and 4 gold pieces to make 20 pellets? Yeah, bullets, right? It does 1d10 piercing, it has a range of 60 to 40, which is fantastic out the gate. And reload 4 means you can shoot it 4 times before you have to use an action to reload. So in a pinch, that's great. That's really, really good out the gate. Often you'll find that, for example, Bad News here, which is the famous rifle of Percival de Rollo from Critical Role, that's 2d12 piercing, but to balance that out, it's also two-handed and a reload of 1. So you can only shoot 1 bullet and then you have to reload. Obviously if you have loads of attacks, it kind of cancels that out somewhat, but oh yeah, and the range as well, 200, 800. Can't imagine you'll ever be at disadvantage with a range of 200 feet. But regardless, where was I? Oh yeah, the misfire score. So that was reloading. The misfire score is if you roll that or below, the gun misfires and temporarily becomes jammed. And then you have to repair it, making it to make a successful Tinker's Tool check, and the DC equals 8 plus the misfire score. So for example, if we have a musket and we roll a 2, the gun jams, is broken, and then we have to take an action to try and fix it. And the DC, as it says, is 8 plus the misfire score. So we have to roll a successful dexterity check, basically, of at least 10, 8 plus 2, because that's the misfire score. So the highest misfire score here is 3, and that's on Bad News and on the hand mortar. So the highest it can get is 11. So as long as you're spec'd properly, you should be able to reliably repair the weapon, and ammunition is ammunition. So that kind of covers guns briefly. Feel free if you're making this to read this yourself. Oh, and to enable this, by the way, on the home page you just need to click Critical Role Content and it will appear. It's available for all users. Okay, so also at level 3 we get the Adept Marksman feature, which is just how the class functions basically. We get access to trick shots, which modify the shots that we take, and we can activate them by spending grit. And grit points you regenerate on a roll of 20, or deal a killing blow with a firearm on what the DM would consider a significant threat. So I guess keep reminding them about that if they're not already aware. And trick shots just modify the shot in some way, and grit points are equal to your wisdom modifier, which is why I mentioned wisdom should be our second highest. Absolutely. Some of them require the creature that's being hit to make a saving throw, and the DC is 8 plus your proficiency plus your dexterity modifier. So again, everything about this class runs on dexterity, so I recommend buffing that up first. So the 2 trick shots we're going with, they're all effective, bar I would say bullying shot. I'm not sure that's very good, but we're going to go with Deadeye because we can expend 1 grit point to get advantage on any roll. So if we really need to make a shot, this is what we go. Fantastic out the gate. And the other one I think we're going to go for is disarming. So if there's a particularly lethal creature with a wizard or a sorcerer maybe with a staff at the back, we can aim at them, shoot, and they may have to drop the item that's in their hand. And that's what a disarming shot does. With a failed saving throw, they get hit and they drop the item and it's pushed 10 feet away, so they'll have to go over, pick it up, blah blah blah. But those are two really good options for at 3rd level. So we'll go with that. Next up we have abilities. So I'm going to do what I've been doing for the last few videos, which is roll 2 sets of ability scores on the dice, and I'll be back once that is done and we'll see what we get. Right, so honestly they're not too far away from each other, to be honest. I kind of like the disparity between the second set, so I think we're going to go with that for now, although I think the second set is better. Sometimes it's nice to have a lower score. So first up we're going to go with dexterity at 17. We're going to go wisdom at 15 without a doubt. I think perhaps we should have some constitution. We are a fighter, we are likely to get hit, so it's worth bearing that in mind. I think perhaps we would have a modicum of intelligence to be able to repair these weapons and such. I think that kind of makes sense, even though it's dexterity based mechanically. I think being intelligent and tactical on the battlefield as this bounty hunter character I'm imagining would benefit us. And I also think strength will be useful as well, but I'm now thinking if we're sitting at a distance, yeah, I think we want to be able to lie to people and such and be a bit of a schemer. So I think we're going to go with strength as our dump stat, which is brave considering we probably will be in melee at some point, but we'll see. Hopefully this doesn't bite us in the ass. And I think as well, birds are quite lithe, thin, light boned, you know. I presume Aarakocra are as well, so I think that makes sense. Let's apply those ability scores. Let's go to the description, where now we can add a photo. Oh, I like this guy, he looks cool. That's green and orange, yeah, he looks awesome. This is Reggie, the Aarakocra bounty hunter. So let's go for background, let's go for criminal spy, which I decided on a bit earlier. That gives us proficiency in deception and stealth, which is why I didn't want to dump charisma as well, because I think we will be able to make use of that. We have an experienced criminal with history of breaking the law. I think a dice set, that's nice and fun, because I like playing dice in real life. And criminal contact. You have a reliable and trustworthy contact who acts as your liaison to a network of other criminals. You know how to get messages to and from your contact, even over great distances. Specifically, you know the local messengers, corrupt caravan masters, and seedy sailors who can deliver messages for you. So this is going to be useful in any campaign, homebrew or not, as long as there's varied environments, you're always going to be able to use this feature. And I've just had a brainwave. It's also worth mentioning that now in my head this character is turning into like a green and black feathered, very smartly dressed bounty hunter in some capacity. I've moved away from the Mandalorian and more towards a John Wick kind of adept at fighting kind of thing, so we're actually going to go with Reggie Wick, my gunslinger character, and suddenly I really want to play this character. Cool, let's pick some personality traits and let's see what this guy is like. So we rolled a 3 and a 5. So 3. The first thing I do in a new place is note the locations of everything valuable or where such things could be hidden. I think we've actually rolled a criminal spy background before on one of our previous characters, and we rolled the same thing here. But this is great. We know what we're in a location for. If we're doing a heist or something like that, we have a strong goal, a strong focus. And number 5, I'm incredibly slow to trust. Those who seem the fairest often have the most to hide. Oh, I like this. We don't trust people. We use our higher than average insight to glean people's true intentions before we decide to shoot them under the desk, kind of thing. Going for a proper Han Solo bounty hunter vibe. This is turned into a lot of characters all in one. I like that. Cool. Ideals. Let's roll 1. 6. Redemption. There's a spark of good in everyone. Oh, that's a nice kind of change to the doom and gloom of murdering a lot of people with guns. This is quite fun. I like that. I'm not sure where exactly it would come into play, but like, I guess, I mean, John Wick in the movies doesn't really trust anybody, but he does have some friends, so he must know that there's a spark of good in everyone. Maybe not. Maybe not everyone. I feel like we'll be able to figure that out with some insight checks. Let's roll a bond. Number 3. Something important was taken from me. I aim to steal it back. I love this. This could be the designs for our greatest invention yet. Something like that. That's fantastic. Really enjoy that. That's a great way to add flavour. I'm not even going to read the others because I really just like that. You could open for your character, your personal character arc with a heist mission or something like that, where you move away from bounty hunting to chase up your past or something like that. That's great. And finally, a flaw. Let's hope it's not too bad. I turn tail and run when things look bad. Oh, I'm not sure the character in my head wouldn't do that, I don't think. Maybe tactically to get a better vantage point and pull out the sniper rifle that I've got. I'm just going to have another quick look just to see if there's anything more I like flavour-wise for this character, because I'm not too much of a fan of that one. It doesn't suit what I had in my mind. So I've decided I really like this middle one here, number 3. If there's a plan, I'll forget it, and if I don't forget it, I'll ignore it. I like this kind of not undermining my friends perhaps or my adventuring party, but they'll spend hours making a plan and I just love improvising. That's what we do best. I track down a target and I get rid of them in any way possible, hopefully stealthily, if I need to. But again, guns aren't quiet, but we could craft a silencer, couldn't we? Maybe. That would probably take a lot of gold, I would think. I would make that cost a lot of gold if I was DMing a gunslinger. But that's fantastic. We can remove this one because I don't like a character that's a coward. I don't think it suits what we're going for here. So we'll go with that. Go to equipment. And we would start with leather armor, longbow, and 20 arrows. I think maybe that's how this whole thing came about, and then maybe we came across a box of guns one day and we're just practicing with them, something along those lines. If it's set in Exandria, the Critical Role universe, then there's plenty of options for that on Tal'Dorei because of Percy from the show being one of the primary inventors of these things. If there's a way, maybe we were a part of his army at one point, we went out because we wanted to make more money on our own, stole some gear. Could be anything, right? But I think we'll go for 2 martial weapons because we're proficient, and so if we need to be up close, we can do. And I think we'll go for something quite nimble, like in hand, I think would be pretty good. If our guns fail us, perhaps a hand crossbow. I guess a hand crossbow makes sense thematically, so we'll go with that for now. And we definitely need just a normal melee weapon. What would we use? So I quite like the idea of either a longsword, a rapier, or a scimitar, but I think we're going to go with a rapier. The idea of kind of flying down from the sky with this pointed sword and shoving it into someone. But we also get a light crossbow here with 20 bolts. We're going to be absolutely geared up with ranged weapons. So let's just go best of both worlds and let's change this one to a scimitar, one rapier. That's great. And I think an explorer's pack. We wouldn't want to spend much time in dungeons because then we can't take advantage of our flight, you see. Fantastic. Added starting equipment. Let's jump into the character sheet and see what we've got out the gate. So look at that, right from the start, due to that fantastic roll in our dexterity, we start with 19, so we need 1 improvement to get to that maximum of 20. Let's equip all the gear we currently have, and then we'll add some guns in and see what we've got. So out the gate we've got a +8 to hit at level 3, which is amazing, and a +4 to the damage modifiers, but these aren't the things we want. We want to see some guns, right? So here's what you do if you want to find them nice and easily. You can just go bracket, exa, or we're basically searching the Exandria thing next to it, and we have all of these options here. So first of all, we would have some bullets, I think, and we'd probably just have, at this level, a basic pistol while we work on making better ones as we go throughout the campaign. So I think I'll just add the pistol from Exandria and some bullets. I'm not sure whether we've had a musket yet, but I'll just show you the numbers anyway, so I'll add those in. And with bullets, it is important, I think, in your campaigns, if your DM's going to let you run this, to, even if you don't keep track of ammo, just periodically charge the player for using a gun, because it's an expensive hobby. Even to fix them is expensive, creating them is incredibly expensive, buying the ammo or making the ammo is also expensive. So even if you don't take 1 ammo off every single time you shoot, just have them do a lump sum every now and again of gold to keep their, not their hobby, to keep their equipment working, basically, because nobody likes to nitpick with exactly how many arrows you have, I can't imagine. And just for now, just for ease, so we can see everything, we're going to unequip all these other bits, because I can't actually imagine we'd have them by the time we get guns, but there you go. So, out the gate, a pistol from Exandria with a reload score of 4, I believe. Reload 4, misfire 1, and it says all the rules on the right if you ever get confused. So, we can fire 4 shots before reloading. We misfire on a natural 1, which we never want, obviously, and we have a range of 60 to 40. With the musket, misfire of 2, a reload of 1, and this costs 300 gold pieces just to get this musket and maintain it. So if it breaks, you're in a bad way. But that is a 1d12 point of damage, so that's a huge hit. That's what, you know, only kind of barbarians and fighters that are using the heaviest of weapons can reach those damage numbers. So incredibly powerful, but it can be incredibly fun, without a doubt. So just taking a think about what magic items might be useful for a fighter early on, there's a few things that come to mind. If you don't have dark vision, and I guess it could work for a gunslinger as well if your DM allows it, getting your weapons magically enhanced early will benefit you greatly, because a lot of monsters and things have resistances to non-magical attacks. That means all of your shots will be doing less damage. So you want to make sure you kind of get out of the way. For a melee focused class, often just a moon touched weapon out the gate, and it should be available. For some reason I can't see it, but a magical weapon regardless. Maybe that's in part of one of the extra books, but a moon touched sword of some kind will always benefit you greatly. For a character like this, I'm thinking something along the lines of Goggles of Night. If there's an artificer in the party, you don't need to worry about this, they can make them for you basically. But Goggles of Night will give us dark vision should we need it. And something to bear in mind as well, although we can fly, there is a risk if we take a hit and fall that we take damage from falling, basically, if anything kind of changes and our flight speed for some reason stopped. So being able to stick to walls like Spider-Man would be really fun. So I was thinking as well, the slippers of spider climbing might be really useful for silently, we fly up, stick to a ceiling, walk along the ceiling. We've got a way in, we can shoot from the ceiling, all kinds of crazy stuff could come from that. It's also worth maybe thinking about getting some better armor on a fighter early on, seeing as you're going to be on the front lines if you're melee focused. In this case, we're going to be sitting at the back as much as we can. But even then, we only have a 15 armor class currently, so getting some imbued leather or some mithril or adamantine if possible, anything along those lines will help you greatly. This is a strange build for a fighter where we can only wear light armor really. If we decide to go for medium or heavy, we can't fly, so always things worth thinking about. But this is my fighter, you can make your own, and I think that about covers it. This has been Reggie Wick, the Aarakocran Gunslinger fighter. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it gave you a bit of an insight into what a slightly non-traditional fighter can look like. The normal champion build is much simpler. You don't have to worry about misfires, reloads or anything like that. I just thought this would be quite fun to make something Critical Role based once again. But yes, this has been Nathan Deer's Guide to Everything. I hope you guys had a good time. Leave a like and a comment with any class you want me to cover in future. And I think we might take Reggie Wick up a few more levels for the next video and just see what a kind of a mid-level fighter might look like and what I can advise you guys on going from there. So, like I said, thank you for watching everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.